What's going on, people? Your boy, Man Mike, coming at you guys with another episode of Unleashed. All right, this is Unleashed with your boy, Man Mike. Um, Here are a list of conversations, topics that we're going to talk about in this episode of Unleashed, where we have, the Atlanta Falcons, whether or not they're going to add another wide receiver, Justin Fields, and the Steelers offense and how he's going to look. Taylor Heinicke as a Charger. What are the Chargers going to get from him? Desmond Ridder and whether or not he will find a home. Also, kind of give you guys an idea of what Atlanta Falcons Nation is all about, man. We have teacher, AFN Educator Fund, where every dollar matters, and to helping our educators reach the youth. A lot of times, man, what a lot of people don't know about the educators, man, they come out of their own pockets. I'm talking that they use their own funds to help kids, maybe even have a snack during the day. A lot of these kids are hungry. A lot of these kids don't have the necessary funds, so they can have everything, to help them throughout the day and throughout the year. So if you so graciously want to donate to Atlanta Falcons Nation, you can find us here on YouTube. You can donate super chats. You can donate at Atlanta Falcons Nation at Cash App, Matt Mike Sports at Cash App, to help our educator fund. So we also have tonight the 6-man combo. All right. K Styles. All right. The 6-man K Styles live on YouTube. So check him out. Help him reach 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 2Ks. All right. So check us out, man. We're going to be going live tonight, Thursday at 6 p.m. All right. So, and also remember, man, do not forget to leave your questions so you will be featured on a podcast available on Atlanta Falcons Nation on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So check us out, man. This has been your boy, Man Mike. So let's get straight to the topics. Okay. So the first one, I think this is a interesting question for the most part. You look at this Atlanta Falcons offense, man. I think the Falcons have 5 wide receivers on the active roster, and quite a few people have asked whether or not the Atlanta Falcons should go after a wide receiver like John Metchie. I think John Metchie is a terrific talent. A lot of people know. If you don't know, he's one of those guys that had a bout with cancer. So, a lot of people believe that the Atlanta Falcons and any other team could quite possibly, go at their services. To be honest, man, I don't think the Atlanta Falcons will. They have guys like Darnell Mooney, who is regarded as a pretty good wide receiver. I think he's one of those guys that you can throw in as the number 2, number 3. Definitely has talent. He's a 1,000-yard receiver himself in his days with Chicago Bears under Mitch Trubisky. So we know this guy can play. All right. So the Atlanta Falcons have Darnell Mooney. And I think he'll be a pleasant surprise for the Atlanta Falcons. We haven't seen a lot of him in the preseason. We haven't seen any of him in the preseason, but we've seen him in a few clips and practice going up against, the Miami Dolphins and whatnot. So I know this guy can play. So he's one of those guys that the Atlanta Falcons fans are definitely going to be pleasantly surprised when you see him on the field. Also, Drake London is a guy. I think the Atlanta Falcons are really going to feature him in that number 1 receiver. And we may see him as potentially that go-to guy, that next superstar, the Julio Jones, the Calvin Ridley, the Roddy White, the Terrence Mathis, all these guys, man. I think he's going to really solidify himself as the next great wide receiver in this Atlanta Falcons offense. Because this is one of the reasons why I personally don't think the Atlanta Falcons will go out and add a wide receiver. Ray McLeod is another one of those guys. He's going to be a speed guy. So John Metchie, a guy like Ray McLeod, I can see the Atlanta Falcons going out and signing a veteran wide receiver perhaps a guy with speed, being that they lost a guy like Rondale Moore. But as far as a star wide receiver with Drake London, Kyle Pitts, his contract could be coming up real soon, especially if he end up having a big season. The Atlanta Falcons are going to have to pay him some big time money. So I don't see the Atlanta Falcons adding a wide receiver of significance, of, via trade. If there's a trade, it's going to be a lower tier wide receiver, a guy that they can bring in again, be a specialty player like a Ray McLeod, a speed guy, a versatile guy, for the most part. But I don't see the Atlanta Falcons adding a wide receiver via trade. But hey, I've been wrong before, but I don't see them adding a wide receiver of significance. Now, on the next topic that I have, this is a question that a lot of people are wondering themselves about Desmond Ridder. Okay, the Atlanta Falcons drafted him in the 3rd round under Arthur Smith, and my take as far as Desmond Ridder concerned, man, there's a lot of people wondering, whether or not this guy is going to continue to fall. And quite frankly, man, that's up to Dez. I think that's really up to Dez. If he really wants it, man, and he really wants to become, anything, a serviceable player in the NFL, he's going to have to work. You know what I'm saying? I looked at his game. I looked at his numbers in Arizona, and quite frankly, man, I think he was just a casualty of, expectations, a casualty of someone that, he's just not their guy. I was saying, for the most part, when Arizona traded for Desmond Ridder, I think for the most part, and this is something that K-Styles said last night on the Heavy Hitters, that, they just wanted to dump that contract with Rondale Moore. So Rondale Moore, wide receiver, was with the Atlanta Falcons, went down with a knee injury. I think he was just a casualty of, to be honest, like I said before. I really do like it. It's hard. It's hard for me to say this because Desmond really came into a situation with the Atlanta Falcons. He was never going to be accepted here. With a guy like Matt Ryan, succeeding a guy like Matt Ryan, and a guy like Michael Vick, who's forever going to be regarded as one of the greats of this organization, and fans are not going to, let that go. When you succeeding a guy like Matt Ryan, man, the fans' expectations, the media expectations, everybody expectation for this man is going to be through the roof. So he was doomed from the start. So Desmond Ridder, not a great wide receiver, not a great quarterback, but he does have some skills. So if he goes to a team that's going to highlight his ability to run not only that RPO, man, but his short passing game. But it all comes down to whether or not Desmond Ridder wants it. Okay, I can sit up here and say that I think he's a starter, but at the end of the day, he's going to have to prove it. He's going to have to work hard for it. And a lot of people are saying themselves, like, did Arthur Smith ruin this guy? Did Dave Ragone ruin this guy? And quite frankly, I think the whole organization had a plan, had it. I think they had a plan, a piece in, not giving this guy everything that he needed to succeed as a quarterback. All right. They did not have a guy that was specifically there to, help develop him. There was no quarterback coach, although you had a guy like T.J. Yates, you had Dave Ragone. And to be frank, I just don't think Dave Ragone and Arthur Smith would ever qualify to develop a young player. Arthur Smith has been known to develop tight ends, offensive linemen, and the running backs. That's what he's known for. So to have a guy like Dave Ragone, who really didn't help develop a Mitch Trubisky as your offensive coordinator, T.J. Yates, although he's a quarterback, but I don't feel like the Atlanta Falcons gave Desmond Ridder everything that he needed. I heard quotes with Bijan Robinson, where Bijan Robinson pretty much stated that what he likes most about Zach Robinson is that he listens to the players' suggestions on the types of plays that they like to run. And I don't think Arthur Smith ever really gave the Atlanta Falcons player freedom to speak on the types of the plays that they wanted to run. And, you saw it. You saw how, for the most part, how Kyle Pitts, his demeanor on the field, a lot of times, he just looked like he was half-assing it. And maybe that had something to do with whether or not he was motivated or not. But, at the end of the day, man, I don't think Arthur Smith was ever qualified to kind of develop a quarterback like Desmond Ridder for the Atlanta Falcons. And the big question for me personally, and a lot of people have asked me this, is that whether or not Desmond Ridder will be back with the Atlanta Falcons. Quite frankly, I don't see that happening. I don't see Desmond Ridder coming back to the Atlanta Falcons. But the Atlanta Falcons are down to two quarterbacks, Mike Penix, Kirk Cousins. They released Taylor Heinicke. They traded Taylor Heinicke, excuse me. They traded Taylor Heinicke to the Chargers and for a conditional 6th-round pick that they lost with the Kirk Cousins quote-unquote tampering case. So they ended up getting that back depending on the playing time that he could quite possibly receive, because the Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert, he has been dealing with plantar fasciitis. So they need a guy that they can rely on at the quarterback position that has experience. And he's that, despite how I feel like he knew he was out of here anyway. And the Atlanta Falcons probably told him that. So like looking at him and what he could possibly bring to any team, Desmond Ridder. I don't think the kid is bad, but I don't think he, at this point in time, he's going to get. He had a fair shot to really develop as a quarterback, but at the end of the day, man, you can't let that stop. You cannot let that stop you at the end of the day. So, as a player, you got to continuously work hard. You got to work on your craft. Look, you got to show people that you want it. So, there's a lot of people with a lot of jokes and whether or not this guy was my guy. Absolutely, he was. Still believe in him. I still believe he can be a starting quarterback. How great, how good, that's all up to him. But I still believe he has the tools to be a pretty good quarterback, whether it's a spot starter or a starter in the NFL. I think he does have the tools. But right now, man, getting traded and then getting cut, it all comes down to confidence, man. You have to have confidence. So if he believes that he can be that, he has to work for it. So, don't think he'll be back with the Atlanta Falcons, but I've seen some stranger things, man. You see quarterbacks and players go back to teams and, salvage certain relationships that we thought that was pretty impossible. We'll see. But like at the end of the day, man, it's up to Desmond Ridder on whether or not he does. And speaking of Taylor Heinicke, what other Chargers are going to get after with Taylor Heinicke? Quite frankly, man, I'm gonna just keep it short and sweet because this guy really soured me. Okay, from what I saw in the preseason, he looked like a guy he knew it was over, and maybe clearly it was over for him. He saw the writing on the wall. That was a quote from him. So he said he saw the writing on the wall, and to be frank, man, see him in the preseason. He just didn't look like he cared. He didn't look like he wanted to be there. He looked like he was already out the door. And to see a guy play at a rate and no excitement, and seems as though a rookie quarterback in John Paddock played with a little bit more enthusiasm, played with a little bit more spirit, it soured me. So, got to be careful with that. I don't think Taylor Heinicke wants it, to be honest, but you're getting a guy in Taylor Heinicke as a spot guy. Now, if you game plan for this guy, he's not going to be as good as I think a lot of people are hoping. Um, but he can be one of those guys. You need him to come in, win a couple of games, win one game, fill in for, Justin Herbert for a couple of games, win a game. If you're looking for a guy that's going to come in and be um, consistently good and consistently accurate, consistent play from him, you're not getting that. He's a spot starter, all right, with experience. I think the most that he's thrown in the yards that he's thrown in the year was 3,600 yards with the Washington now Commanders. So pretty good backup quarterback, and I think that's pretty much all you're going to get. He can move around a little bit. Not the most agile and athletic quarterback, but he can move around a bit. But for the most part, you're getting a guy that can control the offense, a guy that's fairly accurate, but his accuracy is one of those things that are, and be honest with it and be frank, he's one of those guys that are, he's he's a headache, to be honest. All right, it's a headache with him. But again, you're getting a guy that could come in, win you a couple of games, but he's not a consistent quarterback. His issue has always been consistency, and that's what separates the good from the average. All right, so that's what you're getting from Taylor Heinicke. And as far as Justin Fields, I know a lot of people have it made up in their mind that Mad Mike and the Atlanta Falcons Nation absolutely hates Justin Fields. We don't hate Justin Fields. We are analyzing his numbers, analyzing his play, and we just got to be honest, folks. Like, it's not good, okay? It's not good. He's not a good quarterback, okay? He's not a good thrower of the ball. He's not a very good, consistent quarterback. His accuracy sucks. His decision making sucks. Okay? No beat around the bush when it comes down to it. It's terrible. It's bad. It's inconsistent. And no matter what you say about his skills, as a quarterback, that's what's mattering. And this is one of the reasons why Chicago, and the major reasons outside of turnovers, that he was traded. It's because he's not consistent. His decision making for me is what kind of separates him, and it separates him from even being a good starter. 2,800 yards as a quarterback, that's not good whatsoever. But what you're getting from Justin Fields, especially with Russell Wilson being named the starting quarterback, I think this role with him is going to help him kind of gain confidence. So now he's in the situation where he can watch a guy that has been there, and Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson has been there. Russell Wilson may not be an elite quarterback or one of the best quarterbacks in the league, based on a lot of chemistry issues. I think for the most part, the offense with the Broncos just, I don't think that they ever really wanted him once they figured out the type of person that he was. I just don't think he fit in with their organization. So they made it a living hell, especially when they knew that they were going to bring in Sean Payton. They made his life a living hell to trying to get it out there. So he didn't play up to the par that, a lot of people thought or we saw in Seattle. But Justin Fields is in a situation where he can come in some packages, especially a lot of RPO packages, where he can decide whether or not to run, to throw. They're going to put him in situations where you might see him at running back. You might see him at tight end. You might see him at at the quarterback position when you come in, run, try to get a first down, a short yardage when they need a big play out of him. Russell Wilson is not playing well. You can, kind of substitute him in and have him do his thing. I think this situation with him, it suits him best. I think this is exactly where he needs to be in a situation with the Steelers, where they can put him in packages, gain a lot of confidence, watch it. Okay. The thing is, watching a guy like Russell Wilson, a guy who's a veteran, who's been in certain situations, and can show him how to be consistent, how to prepare himself as a quarterback, how to lead the offense. I think that's the thing that's going to be great with Justin Fields. But like I said, his career's not over, man. He still has a ways to go. He definitely has the talent, but his thing is consistency. If he learns how to properly run the offense, okay? Run the offense. If he learns how to properly run the offense, and I think that's the thing that he didn't do himself any favors when he went to Ohio State, transferred from the University of Georgia. University of Georgia, it may not have been the ideal position for you as far as your playing time and whatnot, but I think if he would have stayed at the University of Georgia, he would have learned how to properly lead and properly get those fundamentals down at quarterback. And I think that's the thing that he didn't do himself any favor, because you can say what you want about Georgia and their quarterbacks and the inconsistencies, but a lot of the quarterbacks, they understand the basics. And I think with the talent that he has, obviously with his arm, his athletic ability, if he would have stayed with the University of Georgia, he would have got those things. And I think at Ohio State, no disrespect to that organization, but the only guy that, to be real, that even resembled a quarterback right now is CJ Stroud. So outside of that, they don't have a history of developing quarterbacks consistently. They don't have a history of, just success at the quarterback position. So I think going back, running that RPO, pretty much just highlighting that skill, that athleticism, that ability to throw the ball deep. Those are the only two things that he learned at Ohio State, is how to run and how to throw the ball deep. It's much more than that at a quarterback in the NFL. You have to learn how to go through your progressions. You have to learn how to run an offense. You have to learn how to get along with some of the athletes, how to kind of let's just keep it real. You just got to learn how to deal with the players. Okay, deal with elite personalities and strong personalities. He never learned how to do that at Ohio State. So, again, Justin Fields in the ideal situation for him as a quarterback, where he's going to be able to learn the basics under a guy like Mike Tomlin, Arthur Smith. You can say what you want to say about Arthur Smith. He understands the fundamentals of not only the running game, but the fundamentals of the game and helping being more of a leader. That's what he's going to get. And that's exactly what Justin Fields needs going to Pittsburgh. So one last thing as far as Justin Fields is concerned. I think one of the things, too, that I want to say is a lot of people are saying that, Mike Tomlin said he's going to be the next quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers for years to come. Well, I don't think that's the case. He has to earn it. Okay, he's on a 1-year deal for the most part. This is a showcase, much like Desmond going to Arizona being traded. He has to make an impact, and And the way, to be honest, for him to truly make that impact, I think what has to happen with Arthur Smith, he has to use this RPO. He has to use his athleticism. He has to win over the fan base. If he wins over the fan base, coming packages where it highlights his ability, then you could quite possibly see Justin Fields as a starter, a potential starter for the Steelers for years to come. But it comes down to, learning the basics. He has to learn the basics, going through his progressions, learn how to go through his progressions properly and not trying to overthrow and throw everything, 120 miles an hour. Okay. Learn how to take things off. Learn how to check it down. Learn how to audible, when to look at the safeties and manipulate the safety. These are the small things that Justin Fields has to learn. So with that being said, man, this has been your boy, Mad Mike, with another episode of Unleash. All right, Unleash with Mad Mike. Check us out again on Apple, Spotify, Atlanta Falcons Nation. All right, we're going to continue to hit these videos out, Again, everybody on YouTube, almost at 10K. All right. Mad Mike Sports, almost at 10K. Check your boy out at Atlanta Falcons Nation, as well as the Heavy Hitters live channel, 6-Man K-Styles tonight, Thursday, 6 p.m. every Thursday. So head over there, hit that subscribe button. Join us tonight for the 6-man combo. This has been your boy, Mad Mike, man. Peace.